My dear friends, let me ask you something from the heart. Have you ever noticed how the words you whisper to yourself or the phrases you let slip into conversation can quietly shape the way you live? It might seem harmless, a little joke about getting older, a shrug when someone asks your opinion, or a sigh that says, well, I guess it's too late now. We hardly notice these words, yet they begin to weave a story we tell ourselves about who we are, what we can do, and how much we matter. For many older adults, these small phrases become habits. They sneak into daily life, repeated almost without thought. But here's the surprising truth. The words we choose carry enormous weight. They can strengthen or weaken our confidence, open or close the door to relationships, and even affect our health and happiness. Today, I want to take you on a gentle but important journey. Together, we're going to uncover 9 common phrases that many people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s find themselves saying. At first, they sound ordinary, maybe even practical, but repeated over time, they can drain joy, limit opportunities, and make us feel smaller than we truly are. But here's the hope. Every phrase has a replacement. Every limiting word can be exchanged for one that gives life, energy, and dignity. And the shift doesn't require grand changes, just small, intentional steps. By the end of this conversation, I believe you'll see yourself more clearly, speak to yourself more kindly, and feel more connected to the life you still have the power to shape. So, take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin. The first phrase is one you've probably said more than once. It doesn't matter. At first, it sounds simple, even polite. Maybe someone asks what you'd like for dinner and you brush it off. Oh, it doesn't matter. Or perhaps a friend wonders if you'd like to go for a walk and you wave your hand. No, it doesn't matter. But here's the problem. When we use those words too often, they slowly chip away at our sense of self. What starts as an effort to keep the peace can end up making us invisible, even to ourselves. I once met Evelyn, a lovely woman of 79. For years, she thought it was easier to go along with whatever her family wanted. If her children suggested a restaurant, she would nod. If her friends asked which card game she wanted to play, she shrugged. Then one year, her granddaughter asked what kind of cake she wanted for her birthday. Without thinking, Evelyn said, "It doesn't matter." But deep inside, she longed for the chocolate cake she'd loved since childhood. The following year, she gathered her courage and spoke up. That small act, asking for chocolate cake, lit her up with joy. It reminded her that her preferences and her voice truly mattered. So here's the lesson. Your desires are not a burden. They are part of what makes you you. Instead of, "It doesn't matter," try saying, "I'd love chocolate," or "A walk would be wonderful." Your choices bring color to life for you and for the people who love you. The second phrase is just 3 words, but carries a heavy weight. I'm too old. This one is sneaky. It shows up when we think about starting something new, whether it's learning a skill, making a friend, or trying a hobby we've always dreamed of. With just those 3 words, doors swing shut before we even knock. But let me tell you about Larry, who at 80 finally bought a keyboard to learn piano. His fingers didn't always cooperate and progress was slow, but every week he grew stronger. Soon, he was playing simple songs while his grandchildren danced around the living room. When Larry said, "Why not me?" instead of, "I'm too old," life opened up again. So remember this, you are never too old for growth, joy, or new beginnings. The third phrase that sneaks into our daily life is this one, I can't. It sounds so final, doesn't it? Like a heavy door slamming shut. Maybe you whisper it when you're asked to learn a new phone, or when someone invites you to join a group, or even when it's chilly outside and a walk feels like too much. I can't often feels safe. It spares us from embarrassment, from the risk of failing, from the sting of trying and not succeeding. But here's the truth. Most of the limits we believe in are built in the mind, not the body. Take Jean, for example. At 82, she wanted to learn how to use her smartphone so she could see her grandchildren's faces on video calls. At first, frustration bubbled up. Buttons too small, apps too confusing, and mistakes at every turn. More than once she thought, I can't do this. But Jean refused to let that phrase have the final word. Instead, she began saying, I'll give it a try. Step by step, with patience and help, she learned. Today, she lights up with joy every time her phone rings with a smiling grandchild on the screen. So the next time "I can't" forms on your lips, pause. Replace it with "I'll try" or "I'll see what happens." That small shift can transform walls into open doors. The fourth phrase is one that carries deep pain. "I'm a burden." This one often creeps in when we need help. Rides to the store, an extra hand with chores, or someone to sit with us at a doctor's appointment. Even when loved ones reassure us, the thought lingers. I'm slowing them down. I'm in the way. But here's something we often forget. Helping isn't just about sacrifice. It's about love, connection, and purpose. I think of Helen, 83, who stopped driving and hesitated to ask her son for grocery runs. She told herself she was being a burden. But when she finally opened up, her son smiled and said those weekly trips were the highlight of his week. It wasn't a burden, it was a gift. So instead of saying, "I'm a burden," try saying, "Thank you for being there for me." Those words invite love instead of shutting it out. Remember, needing help does not make you heavy. It makes you human. And accepting help is another way of giving love back. The fifth phrase that steals joy is, "I used to be." On the surface, it sounds harmless, just remembering the past. But the danger is when this phrase keeps us trapped there. I used to be strong. I used to be important. I used to run marathons. When those words take center stage, today's life can start to feel smaller, less valuable. Let's think of Carl, 78. For decades, he ran marathons and wore that identity proudly. But after a health scare, running wasn't an option anymore. Whenever friends asked what he was up to, he'd sigh and say, "I used to run." Slowly, he withdrew from group activities, convinced the best years of his life were behind him. But something changed when he discovered the joy of walking with a camera in hand. Photographing birds and wildflowers gave him a new rhythm, a new reason to smile. He realized life didn't end when marathons did. It simply took on a different shape. So instead of saying, "I used to be," try, "Today I enjoy," or "Now I'm learning." Each season of life brings fresh gifts if we open our eyes to see them. The sixth phrase is even more defeating. What's the use? These three words may be small, but their weight is heavy. They show up when you're tired, when progress feels slow, or when disappointment knocks again. You might whisper them when thinking about exercising, calling a friend, or even making a healthy meal. Alice, 85, knew this feeling. After her husband passed, she began painting as a way to fill the silence. But many days the voice inside whispered, "What's the use? Nobody will ever see these." Still, she kept at it, hanging her paintings in her living room. One day, her granddaughter walked in, stopped, and gasped, "Grandma, this is beautiful." Alice's heart swelled as she realized her efforts mattered, even if it touched just one soul. That's the power of small acts. Every walk you take, every phone call you make, every meal you cook for yourself. It all matters. It says, "I'm still here. I'm still living." So when "what's the use" creeps in, answer with small goals. Water a plant, call a neighbor, walk to the mailbox. Celebrate even the smallest victories because together they build a life worth living. The seventh phrase is, "Nobody cares." These two words may slip out in moments of loneliness, when a phone call doesn't come, when family is busy, when the house feels too quiet. But while the feeling is real, the phrase itself builds walls that shut people out. George, 80, knew that silence all too well. One evening, after days without hearing from his daughter, he muttered, "Nobody cares." That phrase grew heavier each time he said it. But when his daughter finally visited, she wrapped him in a hug and said, "Dad, I love you. I think about you every single day." He realized it wasn't that nobody cared. It was that life sometimes gets in the way. Instead of saying, "Nobody cares," try, "Somebody will notice," or even better, take action. "I'll call someone today." Connection is a two-way street, and often people are just waiting for an invitation to walk it with you. The eighth phrase is, "I'm just lucky." At first, this might sound humble, but it can also strip away the recognition you deserve for the choices you've made. When someone compliments your health, your kindness, or your resilience, brushing it off as luck ignores your effort and strength. Nancy, 76, always told people she was just lucky to be healthy. But her daughter reminded her, "Mom, you eat well, you walk every day, and you've kept your spirit strong. That's not luck, that's you." Accepting praise allows you to honor your journey and inspire others to care for themselves too. So next time someone says, "You look wonderful," don't push it away. Smile and reply, "Thank you, I've worked at it," or "I'm grateful for the choices I've made." That acknowledgement lifts both you and the one giving the compliment. And the ninth phrase is perhaps the most dangerous. It's too late. How many dreams have been buried under those words? It's too late to start painting. It's too late to learn technology. It's too late to travel. The truth is, as long as breath is in your lungs, possibility remains. Ed, 84, was convinced technology had passed him by. "It's too late for me," he said, but with patience and practice, he learned email. Soon, he became the storyteller of the family, sending funny memories and old photos that tied generations together. Instead of saying it's too late, try "why not now?" or "I can give it a try." The moment you choose to begin, you prove to yourself and to others that growth doesn't have an expiration date. My dear friends, as we bring this conversation to a close, I want you to pause and ask yourself, which of these phrases do I find slipping into my own life? Is it "I'm too old"? Is it "what's the use"? Maybe it's that quiet whisper of "nobody cares." Here's the beautiful truth. None of these words have to stay with you. They are not permanent. They are habits of speech, and like any habit, they can be reshaped. When you begin replacing just one negative phrase with a hopeful one, you change the atmosphere around you. You lift your own spirit, and you send ripples of encouragement into the lives of those you love. Think about it. Words are seeds. When you say, "I'll give it a try," you plant courage. When you say, "I'm grateful," you plant joy. When you say, "Why not now?" you plant possibility. Those seeds grow into confidence, peace, and deeper connection with others. So here's my invitation. Start small. Choose one phrase to let go of today and replace it with something life-giving. Maybe tonight, instead of saying "it doesn't matter," you'll say "this is what I'd like." Or tomorrow, instead of "I can't," you'll try "I'll see how far I can go." And as you do, notice the change, not only in how you feel inside, but also in how people respond to you. Words have the power to open doors, heal wounds, and brighten even the most ordinary days. So let's walk this journey together. Share in the comments which phrase you're ready to release. Subscribe to join this growing community of encouragement. And remember, your words shape your world. Choose ones that let life and love shine through.